Welcome back, students of class 11, to our online class of week 7. Today, we are going to start our new chapter. Before starting our new chapter, I hope you all have studied the chapter 1 quite interestingly and you have done all the assignments given to you and revised the week work also. So today we are going to start our new chapter, chapter 2, that is Forms of Business Organization. So as you know, in the last chapter we had discussed about the business, profession and employment and how can you start a business and how the term business and commerce is as wide, which includes all the trade activities in that single name. So now we are going to discuss the forms of business organization. Because in this scenario of world, there are different types of organization which can be formed in any part of the world. So first of all, I will make you clear the meaning of business enterprise. A business enterprise is an institutional arrangement to form any business activity. Or you can say, it is an organization which is engaged in some business or commercial activity. Every business enterprise is a separate and distinct unit of business. So every business entity adopts some form of business organization to carry out business activities. So it simply means that the business organization can be of different types, means which can be run by an individual or by the group of individuals or the people who can run an organization. And basically today we are going to study the some forms of organization. So first of all, the classification on the basis of ownership, it is widely divided into three main enterprises: private enterprises, public enterprises, joint sector enterprises. So you can see that I have drawn a flow chart which make you more clear that basically the main three broad parts are private, public and joint sector enterprises. So private enterprises are the enterprises which are owned, managed and controlled by private person, or you can say any individual or any common people of that organization. Whereas public enterprises owned, managed and controlled by government, means whose control is in the hand of the central or the state government of that particular organization. And the third one is joint sector enterprises, means that is owned, managed and controlled by private as well as government, in which the involvement of private individual as well as government individual both are there. So today we will discuss some of the types of private sector enterprises. So as you can see, the first is private enterprises, which is owned, managed and controlled by private individuals. These enterprises work with the main objective of earning profit. Like I can give you some example: Reliance India, Tata Company, Birla Company, Wipro, etc. These all are private sector enterprises. So these are basically divided into non-corporate form and corporate form. So non-corporate forms are sole proprietor, partnership, joint Hindu family. And the second one is corporate form, that is cooperative society, joint stock company. So in case of corporate form of private enterprises, the identity of enterprises is separate from that of owner, and in case of non-corporate form, the identity of the enterprises is not different from that of its owner. So in the case of corporate form of private enterprises, basically there are three types of non-corporate form of private sector, that is sole proprietorship, partnership, joint Hindu family business. So today we will discuss the private enterprises, in which non-corporate form we are going to discuss. The first one is sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship means a business owned, managed and financed by a single person who is a recipient of all profit and bearer of all risk. So, sole proprietor means one man army, in which sole means proprietor and one means owner. A business owned, managed, and controlled by a single individual is known as sole proprietorship organization. So, it is suitable in areas of personalized service like beauty parlors, hair cutting salons, and small scale activities like retail shops of grocery, etc. So, first of all, we will discuss the features of sole proprietorship. So, features generally includes all those merits and demerits of that particular organization. So, in features, you can include as well as the plus and minus point of that particular organization. So, the main features of sole proprietorship firm are mentioned below. The first one is single ownership, means it is wholly owned by one individual. The sole proprietor firm is owned, managed by a single individual only. All the capital is supplied by the single individual from his own wealth or from borrowed fund. The second feature is control, which means sole proprietor has a power of decision making. Full power of decision making, in which the power remains in the hands of the person or the businessman. So, no separate legal entity. So, no separate legal entity means a sole proprietorship has no legal identity separate from that of its owner. Law makes no difference between the owner and the enterprise. Business and the owner exist together. Unlimited liability. So, in this case, the liability of the person is unlimited. The liability of the owner is unlimited in case of assets of business organization, in which the assets of business are not sufficient to meet its debts. The personal property of owner can be used for paying debt. I can make you more clear that liability means that to pay off all your debts. So, if the person is not able to pay off all its debts, then what is going to happen? If you are going to have unlimited liability, we can take out your personal property also for paying those debts. So, next is no legal formalities. Not required to start, manage, and dissolve such business organization. There are no legal formalities developed by government to start or manage these kind of business. You can just start this business with few formalities. Sole risk bearer and profit recipient. So, in this case, you are only the person who will enjoy all the profits of the business, and one more thing, that you have to bear all the risk also. Means positive and negative, both things are coming to you, and you have to manage your own losses as well as profits. So now we will move to the merits of sole proprietorship, that if you are going to open a sole proprietorship, which kind of things you are going to enjoy. The first one is easy to start and close, because in this there is no legal formalities, so it is very easy to start this kind of business, and it's totally depend upon you that when you are going to stop this business, because it is not governed by any specific law. The sole proprietor can close the business whenever he desired without any legal formality. It can be closed by paying back its debts. Quick decision making. Of course, it is a quick decision making because you are a sole trader and you are not required to consult or to inform anybody about your decisions. Next is sense of Accomplishment means there is a sense of personal satisfaction involved in working for oneself. The success in business not only contribute to self-satisfaction but also instills in the individual a sense of pureness and confidence. Unlimited liability. Again, the liability of owner is unlimited. So in case the assets of business are not sufficient, so you have to pay off with your personal properties. Secrecy, yes, the sole proprietor is not expected to share his secrets with others. So there is no legal compulsion for a sole proprietor to publish his accounts. All the decisions are taken by the proprietor himself. Next one is sole risk bearer and profit acceptance. He bears the complete risk and there is nobody to share profit loss with him. As you can see that all features which are having the positive points are the parts of demerit. So in the same way, all the features which are having a negative impact will be the part of demerits, disadvantages or limitations of sole proprietorship. So we will move to demerits or limitations of sole proprietorship. The first one is limited financial resources. In this case, funds are limited to the owner's personal savings and his borrowing capacity. In sole proprietorship, firm finance is supplied by the proprietor himself from his wealth or from borrowings. There is a limit to the credit raising capacity of a single person. This reduces the scope for business growth. The funds are not sufficient for medium scale or large scale business. Unlimited liability is also the part of, you can say, the demerit, because in this your personal property is also on a risk. If you are having a risk loss in your business, then your personal property can be used to pay back all your debt. Then uncertain life. Death, insolvency, illness of a proprietor affects the business and can lead to its closure. Means the life of your business is very uncertain. Limited scope for expansion. Due to limited capital or funds or managerial skills, it cannot expand to a large scale. So suitability. Now we will move for which type of company this is suitable. So sole proprietorship is suitable where the personal attention to customer is required, as in tailoring, beauty parlor or any small organization. Where goods are unstandardized like artistic jewelry, etc. Where modest capital and limited managerial skills are required, as in the case of retail stores. Business where risk is not extensive, lesser fluctuation in price and demand like stationery shop, etc. So basically for small scale business, sole proprietorship is a good form of private sector enterprises. Now we will move to our second private sector enterprises, that is joint Hindu family, and it is also known as Hindu undivided family. You can say JHF or HUF. So it is owned by the members of undivided joint Hindu family, or you can say the family, a joint family, which is coming from ancestors to ancestors, and it is managed by the eldest member of the family, and he is known as Karta. It is governed by the provisions of Hindu law. The basis of membership is birth in a particular family. So, the business carried out by the male members of Hindu undivided family is known as joint Hindu family. This kind of business is not governed by Industrial or Company Act, but it is governed by Hindu Succession Act. So, generally, there are two main conditions for the existence of joint Hindu family. These are minimum 2 male members must be there in the family, existence of some ancestral property, or ancestral property is inherited by male members of Hindu undivided family. The members who share the ancestral property and who are entitled to get a share in the profit of JHF business are known as co-partners. So now we will study the features of joint Hindu family. First one is formation or membership. Formation. For joint Hindu family, there should be at least 2 members in the family and your property must be ancestral. Second, membership by birth. There are two systems which govern membership. Deyabhaga system, Mitkarsha system. In Deyabhaga system, which generally prevails in West Bengal, allows both male and females to become co-partners, whereas Mitkarsha, which is prevailed over in all over India except West Bengal, allows only male members to be co-partners. So next is liability. Liability of Karta is unlimited, but all the other members is limited to the extent of their share in the property. So it says that Karta's personal as well as business property will be used to pay off all the debt, whereas other members will be liable to pay all the debts only up to share in the property. Continuity. The business is not affected by the death or incapacity of Karta. In such cases, the next senior member will become the Karta. Minor members. A minor member can also become full-fledged member of family business. Now we will move to the merits of joint Hindu family. Effective control, because the senior member who is Karta can promptly take decision and he is the absolute decision making power. Continued business existence. The death fluency of Karta will not affect the business as next eldest member will then take up the position. Limited liability. The liability of all members except Karta is limited. It gives them the relief. Secrecy. Complete secrecy regarding business decision can be maintained by Karta. Loyalty and cooperation. It helps in securing better cooperation and greater loyalty from all the members who run the business because they all are the member of the same family. Now the limitations of joint Hindu family. Limited capital. There is a shortage of capital as it is limited to the ancestral property, so funds are less. Unlimited liability of Karta, which make him less enterprising. Dominance of Karta. Karta manages the business and sometimes ignores the valuable advice of other members. This may cause conflict among the members and may lead to breakdown of the family limit. Hasty decision. As Karta is overburdened with work, he may take hasty and unbalanced decisions. Limited managerial skills. Limited managerial skills of Karta also pose a serious problem as the joint Hindu family business is on decline because of the diminishing number of joint Hindu families in the country. So this is the joint Hindu family. Today we have discussed private sector enterprises, non-corporate, in which we have discussed two types of private sector enterprises. One is private sector enterprises, sole proprietorship, and joint Hindu family. So in our next class we will study some more private sector enterprises. So under this PDF file I have given you few questions. First go through the file and then answer these questions. Okay students, this is the topic for today's class. So we will discuss more enterprises or form of business organization in our next class. So do the assignment and stay home, stay safe. All the best. Goodbye.